Interesting. So what keeps you on? What keeps you continue practicing homeopathy?
Well, what keeps me on? I would say from being a full-time practitioner, I turned into a researcher somewhere in 1995. And I started my career as a researcher come practitioner with three fundamental questions. Question one was, does homeopathy work really? Question two was, what does it contain? And question three was, how does it work? What is the mechanism of action? So these three questions I asked myself in 1995 and started a journey of being a researcher. And I'm happy to say that fortunately I could answer all these three questions. But the questions did not come that easily to me. This was a journey. These questions I posed to myself, and I was fortunate to work with around 45 to 50 mainstream scientists in many parts of the country, and which included immunologists, pharmacologists, nanotechnologists, chemists, engineers, biophysicists, and so on and so forth. And with the help of these scientists at about 10 leading institutions in the country, which included Hafkin Institute, ITC, formerly called as UDCT, Tata Memorial, RACTREC, Nair Hospital, SP College, Gujarat University, Mumbai University, Kalyan University, and many more. Having worked with the scientists in different areas using or making homeopathic experiments, which could potentially or which could possibly ask the questions which I had raised, I'm happy to say that we could answer all the three questions in our favor, and that has changed and that has brought a lot of excitement in my personal life. Homeopathy has remained as a mission for me, besides it being a profession, and some very exciting findings which evolved in this journey of especially as a researcher. New drug discovery was one of the areas of my work, and that started when I challenged the very concept of the law of similars. I challenged all the medicines which we had. I challenged the data of drug proving what we had. I challenged their sources and so on. And happy to say that by working in the area of new drug discovery, we could develop certain new drugs very scientifically. We could also see certain gaps in the regulatory process. We could recommend this to the concerned agencies, and we could sensitize the government and the policy makers also in this area. The process is long, it takes time obviously, but then we could trigger the change, and happy to say that some developments have reached to a certain level. For example, the COVID nosode research work has brought in a lot of interesting outcomes, and it has answered all the three questions together in the same experiment. This research has brought in some very interesting findings. It has made me understand homeopathy in a very different perspective than what I had learned in the medical schools for so many years and what is being written in the homeopathic medical literature. We could see the nature of homeopathic medicines as nanotherapeutic agents. In addition to the work by the scientists at IIT Bombay, we also conducted certain work in the area of nanotechnology and could demonstrate that homeopathic medicines, they contain nanoparticles. Even of the COVID nosode, it has demonstrated some presence of nanoparticles. In various in vitro and in vivo models, including animal models and human trials, we could demonstrate the mechanism of action of homeopathic medicines, which was never understood for so many years, in fact almost 200 years. And that was one of the biggest challenges that homeopathy as a profession faced, because we never understood how homeopathic medicines worked. And our limited experiments with the help of certain leading scientists have demonstrated that how homeopathic medicines work. For example, it brings about certain upregulation of certain enzymes in the case of cancer research, and that's how it kills the cancer cells in the cell line model, as an example. Likewise, we could also demonstrate certain pathways whereby melanogenesis happens in the cases of vitiligo, and so on and so forth. We have several more leads in these research areas, and that has brought in a lot of excitement, I would say. So homeopathy for me is reborn in last about 20 years, and I think there's a long way to go with these newer findings what we have, and that has made my life really very exciting, and that keeps me on.